Hey y'all, it's me, your favorite friend and host, Kiana, and you are listening to Chats with Friends, the show where we talk about all things life, love, relationships, healing, all of the things. And thank you so much for stopping by. How the heck have you been? How have I been, you ask? Y'all, we have so much to talk about. So grab your drink of choice and a snack so we can chat. And just like that, just like I never left, we're back. Welcome and thanks for tuning in to Chats with Friends, the show where we have the candid conversations, you know, just like the ones you have with your friends about all the things life, love, relationships, and anything else we want to chop it up about. I am your host and your favorite friend, Kiana. And because some of us are meeting for the first time, let's get to know each other a little bit better. And I like to do that with an icebreaker question. Today, I'm going to pull from this deck of the and cards. And today, I'm pulling from the Friends edition. I'm going to read and answer the question, and I want y'all to answer the question by responding to the Q&A. But before we do that, you know, the most important thing that we do down here to the Chats with Friends is chop it up about what we drinking and snacking on, because all conversations are better when we eating and when we drinking, right? So what is your drink of choice and your snack of choice as you are listening and tuning in to Chats with Friends? Me, I made myself this super yummy mocktail. I don't have a name for it. I went down to the TikTok and searched for mocktails, and bam, there was hella content creators whipping up some yummy deliciousness, but those was a little bit too fancy for me in this moment. So I looked in my refrigerator and whipped up this Kiana-esque mocktail using some Fresca, this berry sangria flavor Crystal Light drops. This flavor that I just came to know is bomb.com. I added in this other new thing that I found, this 0 calorie liquid sweetener. It's called Allulose. I'm absolutely positive I'm probably pronouncing that wrong. Anyway, it's a 0 calorie sweetener, just like a quarter of a teaspoon, if that much of that. Some fresh mint, a slice of lemon, and a slice of lime, and bam! I am slurping it down with a glass straw because I am bourgeois like that. Glass straws, compliments of Amazon.com. That is a whole nother story about my love-hate relationship with the one and only Amazon.com. But anyway, these glass straws and this mocktail, it is so good. It is so yummy. It's really refreshing, and it's a little bit sweet. It's probably a little bit too sweet for me. I probably won't use the 0 calorie sweetener next time, but it is delicioso. And I'm snacking on these jalapeno poppers, which are one of the foods from this health journey, this health program that I'm on, and they are pretty tasty. I'm not going to chomp on them while I am talking because that's rude, but they are pretty yummy. They're right here. And jalapeno cheddar poppers. Pretty tasty little snack. So anyway, that's what I'm eating and drinking on. And so, of course, I want to hear from y'all. I want to know what you all are eating and drinking down to the internet and down to the Chats with Friends as you're listening to this episode. So holla at your girl and let me know what you are drinking and snacking on. Now that we got that out the way, let's start with our icebreaker question that I pulled. I pulled it a little bit earlier because, you know, I got to be prepared. And the question says, what are the 5 things you love most about me? Now we're going to change that up a little bit because this is me talking to you. So we're going to change the question up just a tad bit. And the question I'm going to read, or that I'm going to answer, is what are the 5 things I love most about me? Funny you should ask, the and Friends edition. Conversation cards. Funny you should ask, because a couple months ago I was taking a bath One of my favorite things to do on Sunday nights. So those of you who aren't hip to taking baths, remember when we was little and we used to hate baths? At least I did. Hate taking that bath once a week on Sunday nights. It is like the thing I look most forward to on Sunday nights. And then, also down to the Amazon. If you haven't treated yourself to a towel warmer, man, listen to me when I tell you, do yourself a favor and run you a bubble bath. But you got to take a shower first. So that's how this works. You don't take the bath to actually like clean yourself. You take a shower first to clean yourself, like wash up and make sure that you're clean. And then the bath is to luxuriate. It is to drink your beverage of choice. Mine has been tea. I got this tea from the African American Museum when I was in DC a couple weeks ago. And I'll tell you a little bit about that a little bit later. But I had some tea and a little slice of lemon in my tea, and my candles lit, lights completely off, and I take baths every single Sunday, pretty much religiously. It has to be an act of God is the reason why I don't take my baths on Sundays. But anyway, that was the long way of saying that one of my bath times, I was just talking into my voice notes and somewhat of a love letter to myself. And I just started to reflect on the things about me that I love. And at some point, I'm going to share those love notes to you all in some way, shape, or form, some format. I haven't quite figured out yet, but I did this. I spoke into the voice notes and just began to just shower myself. Some would say maybe with like a word bath of sorts, of just all the things that I could think of in the moment that I loved about myself. And there was many things that I loved about myself. So I've kind of already answered this question. So it was interesting that this is the one that I pulled, and I did pull it randomly. So the question that I pulled, again, what are the 5 things I love most about me? And I will first say, I love my skin. I do. I love my skin. And it took me a little bit to love my skin. The color of my skin, the texture of my skin. It's smooth, it's buttery, it's soft, it's melanated, it's dark, it's chocolatey. And for a long time, I had a problem, I will say. I don't know if problem's the right word, but I was challenged in loving my dark chocolate skin. And mostly because so many folks used to make such a big deal about it that made it seem like it was odd or it was weird or it was abnormal. Like they'd be like, oh my God, your skin is so nice. It's so dark and chocolatey. Like it was just like I was some sort of like from Mars or something. Like my skin was abnormal, and the way people would like talk about it was as if it was like weird. And so it just kind of made me uncomfortable. So it took me a while. I was into my adulthood that I really began to embrace and love my skin the way that I love it, and that has evolved over time. And then, of course, back in the 80s, light skin was in. Light skin, good hair, and green eyes. And so wasn't nobody checking for the dark skinned girls. Nobody was checking for us. Everybody wanted those light skinned, green eyed, pretty girls. And so I didn't love the skin that I was in for a minute. But child, let me tell you, the blacker the berry, the sweeter the juice. And I just, at any moment, I'm trying to get darker and I'm trying to get my hair bigger. And that's my mission in life, is to just be even more chocolatey and delicious. So one of the 5 things I love most about myself is my skin. I love the fact that I have dimples. I really do. I do love having dimples. I love that when I smile, that I have dimples. And I love the fact that like my left dimple is a lot deeper than my right one. The right one kind of takes me a little bit more effort or doesn't always show up, but the left one does. And so I like having dimples. And we'll talk a little bit more about my smile a little bit later as well. The things I've done to, air quotes, fix my smile. But yeah, I love my dimples and I love my hair. I do love my hair. It is naturally curly now. I spent decades of my life with it being chemically processed with Jerry curls back in the day. I used to get it pressed, obviously, back when I was a little girl. My grandmother used to have me in that kitchen pressing my hair. I used to get Jerry curls, so I would sit in Verna Beaver's chair all day on Saturday for 12 hours, getting my hair chemically processed into a curl. And then I came out of that and began to get relaxers. And so my hair was straight. I relaxed it straight. Mostly because, that was the thing. Everyone wanted to have hair that blew in the wind and, that just swung when you moved your hair. And so for years, I relaxed my hair. It was probably more than 10 years ago. Maybe 12. I can't remember. Somewhere around 10 or 12 years ago. My stylist at the time said to me, Kiana, what I'm not going to do is do any more relaxers on your hair. So if you are interested in a relaxer, then you need to find a new stylist. Literally, that's what she told me. And I loved how she did my hair. I loved how she took care of my hair. It always looked healthy. And I said, well, if you say I don't need a relaxer anymore, then I'm just not going to have a relaxer anymore. And so that was the journey to me going naturally curly. And I am so glad that she gave me that ultimatum because I love my curls. Now they are wild and they do their own thing, and I can't have any 2 days that are the same. Like when I can get my hair into like the perfect curl and the perfect style, and I'm like, oh my God, my hair is banging. Let me try to do that again tomorrow. My hair is like, yeah, that was we're one and done. It's a one-time thing only. So that's one of the pluses and minuses of having naturally curly hair is like trying to recreate that style again the next day is nearly impossible. It kind of has a mind of its own and does its own thing, which I actually like. And my hair has grown. It's so healthy. And I love my curls. I absolutely love my curls. Another thing, so that was 3. 4 is I love my personality. I really do. I love the fact that I am outgoing. I love the fact that I'm an extrovert. I love the fact that I love people and I love to engage and I love to laugh and have fun and just connect with other humans. I love my personality. That's one thing that I really, really do love about myself. And then lastly, I will say that I love my thighs. Albeit they rub together. I do. There's something about these thick thighs. They save lives and they save your phone from dropping on the ground and in the toilet. And my thick thighs have saved lots and lots of phones. So I am coming into and embracing more of my body and parts of my body. But even if I didn't lose another pound of weight with respect to my thighs, I'm good with my thighs. I'm good with having a big butt. I love having a big butt. I just want my waist to shrink and then my butt to be like bow. Yeah, like I'm so good with my butt and my thighs. Anywho, so the question in the Q&A that I want you all to answer is, what are the 5 things you love most about yourself? So make sure you share with all the friends on Chats with Friends so we can learn a little bit more about you by answering that question. That's how we get to know each other, is by asking a whole bunch of questions. So it's been a couple of weeks since we last chatted, so I wanted to check in with you to see what you all are up to and let you know what I've been up to the last couple of weeks. So let me know in the comment section on the Chats with Friends social media handle, and let me know what you all have been up to for the last couple of weeks. I recently just came back from Washington, D.C. for a work-related trip, but the highlight of the trip was that I was able to attend the Smithsonian African American Museum. I'd been wanting to go there for quite some time, and I'm so grateful and just happy that I got the opportunity to go, that I was able to get some tickets and actually go to the museum. It was pretty phenomenal. I don't know if you've talked to anyone that's been, or if you've been yourself, just to give you a little bit of lay of the land. The tickets are free. You have to register. You have to request one and then get the ticket. So you get in. It's a beautiful, beautiful building from the outside as well. There's a beautiful gift shop that has all things black. All things black, and that just brings me so much joy to see such black excellence in so many different ways, from cookbooks to clothing to tea. I bought some tea, like loose leaf tea, authors, of course, a wide array of authors, black authors, telling stories about all the things, keychains, all sorts of memorabilia, just such a breadth of merchandise from black creators. Made me smile to walk through there and just be like, yeah, this is the yeah, we did that. So that was amazing. And then you enter into the actual museum, and it starts, you can start wherever, but the recommendation is that you start at the bottom and then venture your way to the top. And so it goes in chronological order, starting with slavery. So the bottom starts with slavery, and then it just, as you travel through it, you travel through time. And I will just say that it was it was heavy. I will just say that it was heavy. It was emotional, and as many sort of slave movies that I've seen, or stories that I've read, or information that I've partaken of, I seem to always just learn just a little bit more about slavery and the experience of my ancestors, which is heavy. And there was actual the shackles and things that, actual pieces of that time that they were able to display there, which was just surreal to see and to witness. And they had audio visual, a narration of stories, and it was pretty breathtaking. It was pretty heavy. I also felt a sense of pride as I walked through and continued through the actual museum. Pride at the strength and resilience of my people. Although I really do want to sort of, I don't know what the word is, disband or dismantle the word strength and resilience. God damn it, I'm tired of being strong and resilient. And I think there's something to be said. I think people think that, black people are strong and resilient. They can take it, right? They can take more, and you can put more on them because they're so strong and they're so resilient. God damn it, I'm tired of being strong and resilient. So no, right? So it's just this dance of being proud of what we were able to overcome and what we're still overcoming, even in 2023. From whence we've come, there's a sense of pride, and the sense of pride in the resistance that came up through the years of people that were like, God damn it, no, actually no, and fighting back and forging new ways and new opportunities for those that came behind them, oftentimes giving up their own lives for others to have a different experience. So it was pretty amazing. And it's interesting because so you start at the bottom, as I said, and it's dark and the mood is pretty somber down there. The environment sort of goes with the theme, right? And then you'll notice as you begin to travel up that it gets brighter, and the music is it's just a different energy around it as you sort of turn the corner on these monumental times in history. But I say all that to say that if and when you have the opportunity to visit the museum, do go to the museum. It is an amazing experience. Probably takes a couple of hours. I mean, like, I went by myself because I wanted to be able to just take it in at the pace that I wanted to take it in. And I wanted to read however long it took me to read whatever. I wanted to take that time, and I didn't want to be rushed, and I didn't want a bunch of people like talking to me and asking me questions, or, you know, like, ooh, or saying, you know, just, I didn't want to engage. I wanted to just really take in the experience. So I'm really glad that I went by myself. I'm glad that I went by myself and I was able to experience it by myself and take it all in by myself. They have an amazing restaurant there with all of the, you know, all things Black meals there and foods there that I didn't take advantage of because I am staying committed and true to my health journey right now, and it did not stand for pecan pie and candied yams at this moment. So I walked through the restaurant and just kind of took a few whiffs of the yumminess that they were serving up, and then turned around and left. But next time I will be able to partake of some of the yummy goodness that was there. But it was awesome. It was awesome. Of course, you know, there was Barack and Michelle, and of course Oprah, and, you know, folks in hip hop that have changed the game as far as hip hop is concerned, and the culture with respect to music and fashion, and, you know, because Black folks did all that. So it was amazing. So I encourage you all to visit that if you have the opportunity to visit it. So yeah, did that, went home, and like a couple days after I got back, I went to an opera here in Chicago, an all Black opera. I don't know if you have ever been to or heard of an all Black opera, but I'd never seen any such thing before in my life. But the scene was centered at a barber shop. Sort of the tensions between two brothers, and it was a love story was weaved in there. But even before we get to the actual opera, now this is Black History Month still February, right? And I got a little mixed up. I went to the wrong venue at first, so I got to the production late. And if you go to any sort of these theater productions, depending on where you're sitting at, and I tend to treat myself to really good seats when I go to these types of events. So if you're not there when the curtain calls, you have to wait until there's a section or a break where they can actually seat you, so you don't disrupt the actual production of the play or whatever it is. So I had to wait, which I was already irritated about. Anyway, once I got a break and the usher, tells me where to go sit, she tells me where, and I'm A102 is my seat. And so I sit down, and to my left is an older Black couple. To my right is an older white woman. She looked like I'm guessing here, but she looked like she was in her 70s, maybe late 70s. So I go to my seat and I sit down, and the white lady, the older white lady to my right, says, "That's my friend's seat. You're sitting in the wrong seat. That's my friend. She's not here yet, but that's my friend's seat." And I said, "Well, ma'am, this is where the usher sat me." And she goes, "Well, you're not sitting in the right seat, because that's my friend's seat, and she's going to be here, and you're sitting in the wrong seat." Now, my mama told me, to be kind to old people, respect your elders, and be kind to older people. So I just turned my head and I said, "Well, this is where the usher sat me." And I knew that I was in the right seat because I knew the section and I knew what the seat number said. And so I go on and I just watch the production. And at halftime, the elderly lady gets up and leaves. And she's all disgruntled the whole time. You can hear her huffing and puffing and breathing hard. She is so mad that I'm sitting there. She is just so mad that I'm sitting in her friend's seat. And so at intermission, she gets up and she walks away. And so she had made such a scuffle about it that when she got up, everyone around me was like, "What was she talking about? What was she mad about?" And I said, "Well, she's trying to claim that I was in the wrong seat." And oh, this is what I forgot to say. The older white lady was like, because this is C101 or something like that. And now I knew that I was in section A. And so I tell the, neighbors around me, and I'm like, she's trying to tell me that I'm in the wrong seat, that was her friend's seat. Now this is Black History Month, so I'm not finna act up. But lady, this is Karen, this is Black History Month. I'm gonna need you to relax. But anyway, so they were like, I was like, she was trying to tell me that I was in the wrong seat and that I was sitting in her friend's seat. And they just were kind of shaking their head. And they were like, well, what seat does she think she was in? And I was like, she says she's in C101. And they were like, yeah, she's in the wrong seat. And I was like, yeah, I knew that, but I wasn't getting ready to argue with her. But the fact that it just never occurred to Karen that maybe she was wrong, that maybe she might be in the wrong seat. It never dawned on Karen that I was actually in the right seat and that she was actually in the wrong seat. So that was my Black History Month experience, down to the all black opera, down to the Harris Theater, down to the Chicago. And the production was the world premiere of the Factotum. Anyway, it was a pretty amazing production and show, and I'm really glad that I got to go. So that's what I've been up to for the last couple of weeks since we last chatted. And later this week, or on the 22nd, is my anniversary of being in Chicago. I have been here 5 years on February 22nd. 5 years ago, I arrived here at Midway Airport with my suitcases and my 13 boxes in tow on the Amtrak to arrive a few days later to start my life over in Chicago, Illinois. Some of you that know me obviously know my story of like sort of my reasonings behind why I moved to Chicago. I will say that these last 5 years, I feel like I have grown in ways and thrived in ways that I don't know if I would have thrived in this way or grown in this way in Seattle. But I am so glad that I took the leap, and I'm so glad that I bet on myself, and I'm so glad I followed my bliss. And I'm so glad I went against everything that people were saying or thinking about me moving to Chicago and what Chicago was and how much crime was here and why are you moving to Chicago? It's so cold in the winter. And I'm so glad that I didn't listen to that and let that stop me from actually taking the leap and actually doing it. And in 5 years, I was actually talking to a coworker while I was in DC, and she asked me something along the lines of, do I still like Chicago or something along those lines? And I was like, yeah, I love it. I feel like I've grown up here, growing up Chicago. that might be a book. Anyway, growing up Chicago, right? I feel like I have grown up and found myself in these last 5 years in a way that I feel like I needed to step away from my family, from my friends, from everything that I knew, everything that was comfortable, in order to find myself. Here, alone, only knowing a small handful of people, and for most of the time, it's been me and God, right? And a lot of this time that I've been here has been a whole pandemic, and so it's just been a lot in these 5 years. But I will say that I feel like I grew up here, and I learned and found myself here, and learned some things about myself in these last 5 years that I'm so glad that I got away, stepped away from the noise, stepped away from the distractions to actually connect with myself and learn to love myself and accept myself in ways that I don't know that I would have done if I would have stayed in Seattle. So happy Chicagoversary to me. Happy 5 years. And I don't know what the next 5 years are going to bring. I don't know if I'm going to stay in Chicago. I don't know. I can't say at 51 years old, I want to pick up my life and move anywhere else and start over again. I can't say that I want to do that, but I'm open to what's possible, what doors might open and exist and create themselves for me. So I will say that one of the things that I think I talked about this in the last episode, was that I've learned about myself is around how much I love theater and, the arts and culture. And literally 2 blocks away, there's a Black-owned art gallery that actually is owned by some friends shout out to Jeffrey Taylor of State Farm in Seattle, who told me, you gotta look my friends up, Andre and his wife, in Chicago when you get there. And I had the pleasure of meeting them this past summer. Their gallery is really close to my house. Amazing art is there, and that sort of thing. Like on a Thursday night, I remember being walking down the street over in Hyde Park. Walking down the street, I was going to Chant. Chant is this Asian-inspired restaurant that I really, really like. And it was a Thursday, actually, because I remember across from Chant is a Black-owned store called the Silver Room. And I walk into the Silver Room because I hear or I see like a bunch of people in there or whatever. And they're having a whole spoken word sort of like thing where people can just put their name on a list or drop their name in a bucket or something, and they can get up there and spit or rhyme or, read poetry or sing or whatever. Just this whole open mic, random Thursday, there's open mic. And that's the kind of thing that on any given day in Chicago, Illinois, there is something like that, or some form of arts or theater or expression that's happening here. There's so much to do here outside of going to the club. No knock to going to the club, because I like to drop it like it's lukewarm every now and then, every year and a half. But I am really loving the fact that there's so much arts and culture here that I just could not even dream of being exposed to in Seattle, just by way of the demographics that are in that city. Hometown, I love Seattle. It will always be home, but it's just really nice to see my people doing amazing, great things here, and just being exposed to different forms of arts and expression here than I have ever been able to experience before. So happy Chicago anniversary to me. So I'm super happy. I'm super happy about that. Part of my growing and learning journey, healing journey that I've been on for the last couple of years has been around understanding myself, loving myself, getting to know myself that much better. And part of that was this bourgeois photo shoot. That was one of the probably most important things that I've done in the last 5 years. There's been some important things that I've done, i.e. moving here. But it was so important and so significant in that it was, from what I can remember, probably the first time. I felt so empowered, and I felt so connected to myself. It was the first time that I can remember that I actually appreciated myself and loved myself unapologetically. I mean, I can't ever remember a time ever feeling like that. And so I'll just back up and walk you through how I got to this particular photo shoot. A friend of mine here in Chicago, she did a photo shoot with this photographer, and he's a traveling cinematographer, because I kept calling him a photographer, and he was like, actually, I'm a cinematographer. So she had done a shoot with him, and she had shown me some of her photos, and I was like, wow, I would love to get that for myself for my birthday. And so for my birthday present to myself, this past December, was booking this photo shoot. When I tell you all of the nerves and all of the things that came up or bubbled up for me around this photo shoot, they all surfaced, right? I booked my appointment with him. We ironed out all the details, sends me the invoice, I pay, all of those things, right? And then, so from that point, once it's confirmed, this shit is really going down, I'm like, okay. So I start texting. Now, I've never met this gentleman before in my life, right? I've never met him. I've never seen him. So I just take my girlfriend's word for it. She's known him. She's known him for years. So I'm texting him and we're going back and forth via text about the day, leading up to all of the things. And I am just like filled with questions. I have all these fucking questions about like, well, what color? Looking back on it is kind of funny, but I was just so in my goddamn head about it, right? What color do I wear? Like I was so nervous. I just kept saying, I'm so nervous. And the way that he created space, I have never met this man. Now, keep in mind, I've never met this man, and we're only communicating via text. And so he created a space of such ease and flow and safety for me, not ever having laid eyes on him or even talked to his voice or heard his voice or anything before. And I just remember him saying, you deserve this. You deserve this. You'll be fine. Wear the color that you want to wear. Wear what color makes you feel beautiful. Wear what makes you, like he wasn't like buying into like me spinning out of control in all of my questions about all of the things, right? So I booked the session. I booked hair and makeup because I wanted to have the whole experience. I didn't want to have to worry about anything. I wanted to treat myself to this whole experience, right? Leading up to he didn't tell me the location or anything before until like the week before, right? So I'm on pins and needles as to like where this is actually gonna be, right? But I just was like, trust the process, Kiana, just trust the process. And so, he sends me the address. He's like, I'll send you the address like a couple days or whatever before, the actual shoot date. And so he sends me the address. Of course, I Google it to figure out how far away it is. Make sure that Goldie is down to the daycare so that I don't have to worry. I wanted to be easy. I wanted it to flow. I wanted to not have to worry about anything, right? Other than just showing up for this particular photo shoot. So I get there, I meet him. It's at this Airbnb and it's so cute. It's just like this super cute little quaint Airbnb out in Rogers Park, on the north end of town, a little bit of ways from me. But, we sit down, the hair and makeup lady's not there yet. So he and I are just sitting there chopping it up. He kind of tells me his story, his evolution of how he got into photography, how he, his work now, his body of work now, and all of those things. Prior to that, I had looked online and looked at a little bit of his work in addition to the work that he did with my friend. But I'm looking at other sort of photographers that do bourgeois photo shoots, and I'm like making sure, like, do I have the right lingerie or does it fit good? I ordered so much. Thank God these places have return programs, but I ordered all these different things, making sure that I got the right outfit, and I could do 2 outfit changes, right? So we're there chatting it up. The hair and makeup lady comes. My hair is actually already done, and she's like, your hair actually is fine. But the photographer was like, for the second look, I want you to pin it up. She did my makeup and she asked me like, what did I want my makeup to look? And I was like, I feel prettiest with red lip. I want something kind of sultry and smoky eyed. And she actually is a makeup artist for lots of movies and shows here in Chicago. She works on set. And I just was like, you're the expert. I'm just going to trust that you do this for a living and you know how to do makeup. So other than a red lip, I do your thing, right? Even for the hair, like he says he wants it pinned up, whatever I really was like surrendering to the process. She's like, okay, go put your outfit on. And my first little outfit is like this lace bodysuit. And when I tell you, I looked at myself in the mirror and I felt so pretty. I remember just smiling, and I remember saying to her, I feel so pretty. I mean, I feel like I'm a pretty girl. Like I feel like I'm a pretty woman, but like to be in lingerie and feel pretty. And I just, I don't even know the words to put to it, but I felt so pretty. And I remember smiling. And I remember the photographer, this is something he had been saying throughout the time that we have been texting, and that was to breathe. Just remember to breathe. And he had sent me some songs throughout the coming weeks to kind of get a feel for the music that I liked and the vibe that I wanted, you know, the energy that he wanted to create, sort of the space that we were going to be in. I was like, you know, vibing with all the music that he sent. We go into the space where he's photographing me, and he's like, just breathe and just move. Just breathe and move. Just breathe and move how you want to move, right? There was no sort of real sort of direction to it, for the most part. There was a couple times where he was like, okay, sit here, you know, etc., or put your head this way or whatever. But for the most part, it was just like breathe and be. Just breathe and be. It was so fucking amazing. I will tell you that I almost forgot that he was in the room. Like, that's how safe of a space that he created for me. That's how connected I was to me, was that I totally moments forgot that he was in the room. The hair and makeup woman was there. She wasn't actually in the room where he was photographing, but she was in the house, right? So none of that mattered. I didn't think about any of that during this. I just remember being so connected to myself. Most of the time my eyes were closed, and I was just listening to the music. There was times where I was like snapping my fingers and smiling and dancing and swaying to the music and just being and flowing with my own self. It was magical. It was abso-fucking-lutely magical. And I touched on my body and loved on my body and hugged myself and kissed myself. Like, I've never ever done that before. And it almost just gives me a little emotional just thinking about like how I never tended to myself like that before. And how like I tended to myself how I want someone to tend to me. But I couldn't really, like, it's how do we, the universal we, expect folks to tend to us if we don't even know how to tend to ourselves? So there was such a awakening in me that I was just like, this is how I want to be treated. This is how I want to be touched. This is how I want to be caressed. This is how I want to be loved on. This is how I want to be tended to. I tended and loved on myself in that way so that I know how to communicate to someone else how I want them to love and tend to me. It was just so fucking powerful. I am what I would consider, I will just say this, I've gained 50 plus pounds since moving to Chicago, Illinois. During this photo shoot, none of that mattered. None of it. Like, I didn't think about my rolls. I didn't think about my cellulite. I didn't think about my back fat. I didn't think about I didn't think about the dimples in my butt. I didn't think about any of it. Like, none of it mattered. None of it mattered. And when I look back at the proofs that he sent me, I can see the connection that I had to myself and the love and adoration that I had for myself in that moment that no one can take from me. And it was sort of life-changing. Then I changed. I was so hot. It was so goddamn. Now, also, we're in an Airbnb on a busy street. The windows are wide the fuck open, right? I didn't care about, like, anybody could have walked by and just see me like standing there dancing in my lingerie with a photographer taking pictures of me and been looking like, what the hell? I didn't think about any of that. It's after the fact. I was like, damn, the windows are wide open. But anyway, at the second outfit change, it was a two-piece, like a bra and panty set and a white button-up. Like, I wanted to have this white button-up look. And when I tell you I was like sweating, I am such a sweater. I was sweating. And the photographer was like, are you sure you want the shirt? And I was like, yes. And he was like, okay. Right? He was like, okay, probably won't stay on very long, but okay. And I was like, no, I'm defiant at this point. You're not the boss of me. I want the shirt. Needless to say, the shirt came off because I was so drenched in sweat, patting my face and he was just like, stop, just stop, just kind of like let it go. It's fine, right? Like, it's fine. You're sweating. Like, it's fine. Just sweat, right? When I got out of my head and I just let the sweat go, one of the last poses he had me do was lay down on the ground and face up. And within moments, I just remember I started to sob. I just started to cry and sob. Not because I was sad, but because I was so goddamn proud of myself. And I was so happy and I was so grateful to myself for giving myself permission to just be and to love on myself and to be in this space and to surrender to the process and to get out of my head and to dispel any myths I had about this strange man that's seeing me in lingerie and doesn't know me and and all like, I was so proud of myself that I did that. And I was proud and I was thankful to my body for responding and for carrying me for these last 5 years and for carrying me for 51 years. And regardless of the weight or the size or anything that might exist physically, that in this moment, I loved every single solitary bit of my body. And I was so grateful to it for all that it has done, all that it has been to me, all that it's carried me through for the last 51 years. Like, I was overwhelmed with gratitude in that photographer creating that space and allowing me to just be and experience that and to flush out anything that didn't serve me, all the stories I had in my head about how I should look, how I wanted to look. None of that mattered. I don't know how my makeup looked at the end after all the crying and sweating and shit that I did, but none of that mattered in that moment. It was just magical. And I'm so grateful for that opportunity. And I'm grateful for the photographer for creating the space for me, for creating a safe space for me, for allowing me to be. And there was moments where he could see that I was kind of getting in my head, especially around that goddamn white shirt. And he just kept telling me to breathe. He was just like, just breathe. When all else fails, come back to your breath, right? And that is true in every sense of the word. In my journey, in my healing journey, when I'm at work or I'm dealing with clients or I'm just having a moment, it's when I come back to my breath and come back to myself where I get centered and I get a grip on myself. And I don't go left, because I can go from 0 to 100 real quick. I didn't say I was healed. I said I'm healing. I'm not all the way. I am. Please be patient with me. God is not through with me yet. But anyway, that was such a magical, life-changing, empowering experience. Should you have the opportunity to have something of the sort or have some experience where you're able to connect and just be, I encourage you to do so. There was so much learning and healing and growing in that 2-hour photo shoot that I'm sure I will be talking about and reflecting on for some time. It was absolutely a magical moment, and I'm so glad that I gifted myself that photo shoot and that I was able to experience that. So shout out to the photographer for that experience. He's amazing. He travels around the world to do his work, so he can come to you or you can go to meet him where he's at and have a similar life-changing experience. So that was that. Shout out to my birthday present to myself and me growing up, goddammit, and finding myself and loving myself in these last 5 years in Chicago. Lastly, before we go, I told you I was going to talk to you about my smile. So part of my journey, learning to love myself, I have had for all of my life, all that I can remember, what is considered a very gummy smile, meaning that my gum line ratio to my teeth makes my teeth look really, really super small. And I've always been very self-conscious about my smile, always. And when I was in middle school, I had braces. I had like the railroad track braces. And at that time, I actually had a procedure where they cut my gums back because my gum line was literally sitting right on top of the braces brackets. There wasn't like enough room for the brackets essentially to be, I didn't have enough teeth space for the brackets. So I had a procedure done where they cut some of the gum tissue back so I'd have room for my braces. But my teeth were still really, really small, and I had a gummy smile. My son, God bless him, he had a very similar gummy smile as well. Although his teeth weren't small, but he had a gummy smile. And also had a gap. So my first round of braces when I was in middle school closed my gap. And then, of course, when you get your braces off, you get a retainer. And so, needless to say, I went through 5 retainers, throwing the retainers in the garbage. And then my parents were like, so what we're not going to do is buy you any more retainers. So thusly, my gap ended up opening back up. And then I had this gummy smile and a gap. And so, I mean, despite all the people that were always like, oh my God, you have such a beautiful, beautiful smile. For someone who smiles as much as I do, laughs as much as I do, I have always been very self-conscious about my smile. And sometimes people will joke about it or, do little underhanded little comments, and I would just kind of laugh it off and pretend like it was okay, but always feeling some type of way about it. 2020, was it? Yeah, I think it was 2020. I can't even remember. All the years are running together. I got Invisalign to close my gap back up because, and that was also something people were like, I love your gap, and I'm like, it doesn't matter that everyone else loves my smile and loves my gap if I don't love my smile and love my gap. Like I want to love my smile and love my gap, or love what I see. And I didn't. So I got Invisalign, and it was supposed to be 4 months, and it ended up being a year and a half. I'm triggered. I don't want to talk about it, but to close my gap, I ended up getting Invisalign. But all the while, even when I came out of Invisalign and I wasn't necessarily 100% satisfied with that Invisalign treatment, I still was like, I still don't have the smile that I want, right? This gummy smile is something that, so I always thought that there was really nothing they could do about it. Over a series of sort of dental procedures and dental recommendations, and just talking to my dentist who referred me to another dentist who referred me to another dentist, I learned about a procedure called crown lengthening, and something that's way more invasive than just the gum surgery or the gum procedure that I had when I was in middle school. This crown lengthening surgery procedure that I ended up getting, I am so very, very pleased. There's still another tweak that she wants to do to the procedure. I just had another tweak last Monday, but essentially it was like my gums were really thick, and so they like bubbled. It was almost like there was this bubble. Trigger warning, like this is going to get a little graphic, but what they did was in my consultation, she was able to see actually that I have plenty of teeth. There's like this, the technology showed my skull and showed like how much teeth I actually have, and where the jaw and the bone, my actual bone. And so she could see like under my gum line, there's plenty of real estate. There's plenty of teeth real estate there. We just have to uncover it. And then that bulging was like my skull was just as thick right there. So they actually shaved, I know it gets a little gross, but they shaved it down so that it doesn't stick out. Did this crown lengthening surgery so that now my teeth are what I would consider a normal sort of size for my mouth and for my face. And so when I smile now, it's way more teeth and a lot less gums in my smile. And I'm so grateful for technology to be able to discover. I don't know if this was even a thing back when I was in middle school, if this was even possible. It was considered cosmetic, so my insurance didn't cover it, but I'm grateful to have had the resources to be able to pay for the procedure. and get the smile. I'm like 85% there. There's a couple other little tweaks she's going to do to it to get it like how I actually want it, but just to be able to be in a space and a place where I can smile confidently, be happy with my smile, and be happy with my smile in photos. You may have noticed, those of you who follow me on social media, there's lots of photos where I smile without my mouth open or without showing my teeth. I have like more of a resting bitch face sort of smile or sort of, look that I would have versus smiling with my teeth because I was self-conscious about my smile. So that's the procedure that I got to quote unquote, air quotes, fix my smile. And I say air quotes because at the beginning and the end of the day, there's nothing wrong with my smile. I remember having this feeling of, and just consistently hearing people say, I love your gap. I love your smile. You have such a pretty smile. That's them. They don't have to, that it's not their teeth. It's not their smile. It's mine. And so I just wanted to have that same experience. And when I looked at myself, I'd be like, I like your smile. I like your teeth. So my gap is closed, and my teeth are bigger, and there's less gums. Right now it's still healing. So if you see me in these streets, don't ask to see it now because it still looks there's still stitches in there. It is still kind of yucky to the look, but it's a definite, you can see such a drastic shift and change in my smile line and my gum line. So that's that's what I did. That's part of my sort of self-discovery, self-love, healing journey, is doing, the things that make me happy and bring me joy. And that photo shoot was one. I had no idea that was the experience I was going to have. I thought I was just going to be taking some pretty pictures or some cute, I had no idea that I was going to have the cleansing sort of connecting experience that I had during that photo shoot. I had no idea. And my smile, quote unquote, fixed my smile. So I'm happy. I'm happy with, those two decisions. And I'm happy with where I am right now. I'm happy with sort of where I am mentally. It took me a long time to get here. Lots and lots of goddamn therapy. And I'm a work in progress. I joked earlier and said I'm healing. I'm not healed. And I don't think anyone is ever fully healed. We are consistently and constantly growing, evolving, changing, shifting. As well we should, because anything that's not growing is dying. So I am hoping that I am always in a space of growing and evolving and shifting and changing and learning and expanding into greater versions of myself. And I feel like at 51, I am at sort of my prime and peak of my life, right? Like this version of Kiana is pretty goddamn dope. Like, if I do say so myself, and I say that most humbly, this is a pretty dope version of Kiana, one that is grounded, one that is assured, one that is connected to God and connected to self in a way that I never have been before, one that loves herself in a way that I've never loved myself before. So don't come at me sideways with that old bullshit, because I'm not going for it. I'm not. It's a whole no for me. It's a no for me. And it's sad to think about the bullshit that I tolerated for many years, having not loved myself and having not had this clarity that I have now about who I am and whose I am and what I have to offer and the gifts that I have to give and the value add that I am. A lot of y'all got away with y'all got away. So thank your lucky stars that you got away with a different version of Kiana. That version of Kiana no longer exists. This new, evolved Kiana 2.0 has surfaced, and I'm liking what I see, and I'm liking what I'm feeling, and I'm liking how I'm showing up in the world, and I like it. So on that, I'm gonna let y'all go. I am going to let y'all go. And if you haven't already, make sure you follow us on Chats with Friends on Instagram. This is where we can continue to keep the conversation going and chat with each other in between episodes. I'll see you all in 2 and 2. Give me a hug. Okay, y'all. I'll chat with you later. Love you. Bye.